The cold wind howled outside the small cabin on Elier 7. A quiet planet far from Earth, snow covered the ground in thick white blankets. Captain Jace Holloway sat by the fire, his hands wrapped around a warm cup of tea. The glow from the flames lit up his tired face. After years of fighting in space wars, he had finally found some peace in this quiet place. Jace liked the silence. He liked the cold. Most of all, he liked being alone. His days as a soldier were behind him. Now he lived simply, far from cities and noise. He fixed things, hunted only when he needed food, and read old books by the fire. But tonight, something was different. Suddenly, there was a knock on his door. It was soft, but firm. Jace frowned. Who could be visiting at this late hour? No one came out here without a good reason. He stood slowly and walked to the door. His hand rested on the old metal handle. He took a deep breath and opened it. Outside, the snow was falling harder. Standing there was a strange woman. She was small and thin, wrapped in torn clothes that did not look warm enough for the cold. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing faintly in the moonlight. Her large eyes were filled with fear and tiredness. In her arms, she held a small child who looked no older than 3 years. The woman's lips moved softly. "If I warm your bed," she said quietly, "will you let us stay?" He was stunned. What kind of question was this? The way she spoke was strange but gentle. Her voice was full of hope and fear all at once. He looked down at the child. The little one blinked big dark eyes and looked at him with trust. Jace hesitated. His mind raced with questions. Was she dangerous? Was this a trick? But the woman's face was honest and tired. She was cold. She needed help. Slowly, he stepped aside. "Come in," he said. The woman nodded, stepping inside carefully.
Ow!
Snowflakes fell from her hair and clothes. Jace closed the door behind them and locked it tight. He brought them to the fire. The woman and child sat close to the warmth. Jace gave them blankets and a hot drink. The woman smiled faintly for the first time. "My name is Thaya," she said. "This is my son, Len." Jace looked at her closely. "Where did you come from? Why are you here?" Thaya's eyes grew sad. "We are running. My people are being hunted. We have nowhere left to go." Jace felt a strange ache in his chest. He had seen war and loss before, but this was different. This woman and her child were alone, lost in a cold world. He wanted to help, but he also knew it might bring trouble. That night, as the fire crackled, Thaya told her story. Her people, the Saren, were peaceful beings from a far star system. They valued knowledge and life, but a dark war had come to their home. Other species feared the Saren's power and wanted to control them. Thaya had escaped with her son, but others followed. They were dangerous. "We only want safety," she whispered. "A place to live without fear." Jace listened quietly. His heart softened. He thought about his own life, his family, his home planet far away. Here was a chance to protect something precious. He looked down at Len, who was now sleeping peacefully in Thaya's arms. "If you want to stay," Jace said, "then you will stay. No one will harm you here." Thaya's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she said. But outside, the cold wind kept blowing. In the shadows beyond the trees, eyes watched silently. That night, everything changed. The cold morning sun rose slowly over the snowy hills of Elier 7. Inside the small cabin, the fire was still warm, but the night had been long and full of worry. Captain Jace Holloway sat quietly, staring at the two strangers who now depended. On him, the alien woman Thaya was awake. Her blue skin had lost some of its tired pallor. She moved gently, careful not to wake her sleeping son. "Len." Jace watched her with curiosity and a quiet kindness. "Tell me about your people," Jace said softly. Thaya nodded. "The Saren come from a distant star. We are peaceful. We value life and knowledge. We never seek war, but war came to us anyway." Jace listened closely. He wanted to understand. He had fought many battles, but never had he heard a story like this. "We were betrayed," she continued.
Oh.
"Our enemies are strong and cruel. They want to use our power to control others. My son carries a secret, something they want to take. Frowned. What secret? Thaya looked around, lowering her voice. People carry knowledge in our DNA. It is a message, a key to peace and power. But if it falls into the wrong hands, it can bring destruction. Jace felt the weight of her words. He understood now why they were hunted. It was not just because of who they were, but what they carried. As the day passed, Jace offered them food and warmth. Thaya watched him with grateful eyes. You are kind, she said. I did not expect kindness here. Jace smiled faintly. I have seen enough cruelty. Maybe it is time for something different. But even in the safety of the cabin, fear remained. Thaya was sure their enemies were nearby. Jace agreed. We need to be careful. I will help you hide. Together, they searched the cabin and its surroundings. Jace found a small tracker hidden in one of Thea's bags. It was a tiny device designed to send their location to hunters. This must go, Jace said firmly. He smashed the tracker. With a hammer, Thaya looked relieved. Thank you. You saved us again. Jace nodded. We cannot let them find you. Not here. That evening, Jace taught Thaya how to defend herself. Though she was small, she was quick and smart. She learned how to move quietly and avoid danger. Len, the child, was curious but cautious. He watched Jace and his mother with wide eyes. Sometimes, he smiled softly as if sensing the safety around him, but danger was not far. Late that night, Jace saw lights flashing through the trees. Shadows moved quickly. The bounty hunters had arrived. Jace's heart pounded, grabbed an old rifle and moved outside, signaling Thaya to hide with Len. The snow was deep, but Jace knew the forest well. He set traps and stayed silent. When the hunters entered the clearing, Jace struck fast. He used the cold night and the trees to his advantage. The fight was quick, but fierce. Jace's training came back in full force. One by one, the hunters fell, or fled. When the fight ended, Jace returned to the cabin. Thaya was waiting, her face pale but calm. You saved us, she said. Jace shook his head. They will come back, cannot run forever. Thaya looked at her son. No, we must change everything. Jace did not understand, but he nodded. He was ready to listen. That night, the fire burned bright. For the first time in a long while, Jace felt hope, not just for himself, but for these strangers who had come to his door. He did not know what the future held, but he knew this night was the beginning of something new. The cold wind of Elier 7 still whispered through the tall pine trees as dawn broke over the snowy landscape. Captain Jace Holloway stood outside his cabin, his breath rising in small clouds. Eyes were sharp, alert. The peaceful life he once cherished had shifted into something urgent, a fight to protect Thaya and her son. Len, inside the cabin, Thaya prepared what little food she had. She moved quietly, her mind heavy with worry. The memory of the bounty hunters haunted her. They would return, stronger and more determined. Jay approached, carrying an old metal box. He opened it, revealing worn tools and weapons, relics. From his soldier days. It's time to prepare, he said softly. Thaya looked at the weapons with fear and confusion. I don't want to fight, she said. We only want peace. Jace nodded. I know, but peace sometimes needs protectors. Together, they set traps around the cabin. Jace taught Thaya how to move silently through the forest, how to hide in shadows, and how to use simple weapons. Despite her fear, Thaya was quick to learn. Len must be safe, she said. I will do anything to protect him, Jace smiled. Gently then, we fight to keep that promise. The days passed with quiet tension. Thaya and Len stayed close to the fire, resting and regaining strength. Jace patrolled the forest, eyes scanning for signs of danger. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, distant footsteps echoed through the trees. Jace signaled for silence. His heart pounded. The bounty hunters were coming again. This time, they were more organized, a larger group with heavier weapons. Jace moved quickly. Using the traps they set earlier, he slowed the hunters' advance. Snow flew as he led them deeper into the forest, where he had the advantage. The fight was fierce. Bullets whistled through the cold air. Jace dodged and used the trees for cover. His years as a soldier returned to him with every heartbeat. Thea and Len waited inside the cabin, holding each other tightly. Thea prayed silently for Jace's safety. Back in the forest, Jace disarmed one hunter with a swift move and knocked another unconscious. He was strong but knew this battle was only temporary. As the last hunter fled, Jace stood alone in the cold. His breath was heavy, but his spirit was stronger. He had protected his new family. When he returned to the cabin, Thea embraced him. "You are our shield," she said softly. "But they will not stop." Jace looked at Len, who was wide awake, and watching them with trusting eyes. "You must find a way to end this," he said. Thea nodded. "There is a secret, a message hidden deep inside me and Len. It could stop the war if it reaches the right hands." Jace frowned. "What kind of message?" Thea's eyes glowed faintly with hope. "It is the truth of my people, their history, their knowledge, their peace. If others hear it, maybe the fighting will end." Jace felt a spark inside him. This was bigger than a fight or a single battle. This was about saving lives, saving worlds. "We have to send this message," he said. Thea smiled, the first real smile since she arrived. "Yes, but it will be dangerous." Jace nodded. "Am ready." As night fell, they planned their next move. The message had to reach Earth's High Council. But the path was filled with danger. Outside, the cold wind whispered again. The war was not over. But hope had found a home in the hearts of three unlikely allies. That night, under the stars of Elier 7, a new journey began. The morning sun cast a soft light over the snowy hills of Elier 7, painting the world in pale gold. Inside the small cabin, the air was filled with quiet determination. Captain Jace Holloway and Thea sat close by the fire while little Len played. With a small wooden toy Jace had made, Thea's eyes held a mix of hope and worry. "The message is inside us," she said softly. "My DNA carries the history and knowledge of my people. It is like a code waiting to be read." Jace nodded thoughtfully. "But how can we send it? How will others understand?" Thea looked toward the window, watching the falling snow. "There is a place," she said. "An old satellite tower, hidden in the mountains. It can send a signal far beyond this world. If we reach it, the message can reach Earth's High Council." Jace's mind raced. The satellite tower was in a restricted zone, a place humans rarely visited, but it was their best chance. "We will go," he said firmly. "No matter what." Thea smiled with relief. "Thank you." They packed their small bags, taking only what was necessary. Len clung to his mother's hand, his eyes wide but trusting. The journey was difficult. Snow covered the ground in deep drifts. The cold bit at their faces, but Jace led them carefully, avoiding patrols and dangers hidden in the mountains at night. They camped beneath the stars, the quiet only broken by the soft crackle of the fire. Thea sang old songs from her homeworld, songs of peace and hope. Jace listened, feeling a warmth he had not known in years. Finally, after days of travel, they reached the edge of the restricted zone. The satellite tower rose before them, tall and strong, reaching toward the sky like a silent guardian. Jace approached the locked gate, his old military tag in hand. It still had access. The beep, the gate opened slowly. But as they stepped inside, Jace's heart tightened. Waiting for him was a figure from his past, Commander Rail. Rail's face was stern but calm. "Jace," he said, "I did not expect to see you here?" Jace's eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" Rail sighed. "The United Human Government knows about Thea and her child. We want to help. Let us take them to safety." Jace shook his head. "I don't trust you. We are here to send a message, not be prisoners." Rail's expression hardened.
Think
carefully, old friend. This war is bigger than any of us. Sometimes safety means sacrifice." Before Jace could reply, alarms blared throughout the tower. Security forces were closing in. Rael looked at Jace. You cannot stop them. Jace glanced at Thea and Len, who were hiding behind a metal wall. I won't let them take my family, Jace said fiercely. With quick action, Jace led them through the maze of corridors. They dodged guards and avoided cameras, moving with the skill of trained soldiers and desperate refugees. At last, they reached the control room. Thea hurried to the console, her fingers flying over the controls. Help me send the message, she said. Jace stood guard as security forces pounded on the door. The message began to transmit. A holographic map of the Saren's history, their peaceful ways, and a plea for peace among all species. Outside, the pounding grew louder. Jace prepared for the fight ahead. Suddenly, the door burst open. But before the guards could enter, the lights in the tower flickered, then went dark. In the silence, Len spoke for the first time. His voice clear and strong. Follow me, he said. Jace and Thea looked at each other in surprise. Len pointed to a set of coordinates glowing faintly on the console screen. It is a place, he said. An ancient beacon ship hidden in space. There the message will be safe. Jace smiled. Then our journey is not over. As alarms rang and guards searched the tower, the small group prepared for the next step, a journey beyond the stars, toward hope and the chance to change everything. The cold wind whipped fiercely across the mountain ridge as Captain Jace Holloway, Thea, and Little Len moved cautiously toward the hidden satellite tower. Snow crunched under their boots with each step. Every breath hung in the air like a small cloud. The journey had been long and dangerous, but the hope of sending the message kept their spirits alive. Inside the satellite tower's control room, alarms still echoed faintly after their narrow escape. The message was almost sent before security forces had intervened. Now, they had to move fast. Jack felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. He was a soldier, trained for battles, but the war he fought now was unlike any he had known before. Suddenly, their steps echoed from the shadowy corridor. Jace froze and looked carefully. A familiar face appeared, Commander Rael, Jace's old friend and former comrade. Rael's eyes were sharp but calm. He raised his hands in peace. Jace, he said softly, I've been sent to bring you and your companions in. Jace's jaw tightened. You mean to hand them over to those hunters? Rael shook his head. No, the United Human Government wants to protect Thea and her son. We can offer them safety. Thea stepped forward, her eyes wary but steady. How do we know this is true? We have been betrayed before. Rael's voice softened. I understand your fears, but I promise we want peace. The war has cost too many lives. Jace glanced at Len, who clung to his mother's hand, eyes wide but trusting. It was a difficult choice. Trust the government or continue running alone. Suddenly, the control room's doors slammed shut, and heavy footsteps sounded. Outside, security forces were closing in. Rael looked at Jace, urgency in his voice. This is your chance. Let us help you. Jace's eyes burned with fierce resolve. No one will take my family. With that, Jace grabbed Thea's hand and pulled her toward a hidden exit he knew from his soldier days. Len followed quickly, staying close. They ran through narrow hallways, the sound of guards behind them growing louder. Jace led them through secret tunnels beneath the tower, twisting and turning until they reached a small shuttle bay. There, Jace whispered, pointing at a sleek shuttle hidden in the shadows. Thea helped Len inside, her hand steady despite the fear in her heart. Jace checked the controls and started the engine. As the shuttle lifted off, alarms blared once more. Outside the windows, lights flashed as security forces rushed toward the bay. Jace flew the shuttle out of the restricted zone with skill and speed, weaving through rocky mountains and avoiding patrol ships. After several tense minutes, they finally escaped the danger zone and soared into the starry sky. Thea exhaled deeply. Thank you, Jace. You've saved us again. Jace smiled tiredly. We're not safe yet. The message must reach the ancient beacon ship. That is our only hope. Len looked up at them, his small face serious. We'll help. I know the way. Jace was surprised by Len's words. Though just a child, Len carried the knowledge of his people in his heart. As the shuttle raced through space, Jace thought about the cost of trust and friendship. Old allies had become enemies, and new friends had appeared in unexpected forms. He wondered if peace was possible in a universe filled with fear and war. But looking at Thaya and Len, he knew he had to try. Their journey was far from over, and the next steps would be even harder. The stars stretched endlessly outside the small shuttle as it raced through the silent black of space. Inside, Captain Jace Holloway sat beside Thaya, who held Len close. The child was quiet, his eyes focused on the glowing console in front of them. The coordinates he had spoken of in the satellite tower still burned in Jace's mind. The ancient beacon ship. Jace whispered, "If we can reach it, the message will be safe, and the whole galaxy might hear the truth." Thea nodded, her blue skin glowing softly in the shuttle's dim light. "It is our last hope." The journey was long and tense. The shuttle was small and supplies limited. Jace kept watch while Thaya and Len rested when they could. Along the way, they dodged patrols ships sent by those who wanted to capture Thaya and use her knowledge for power. Each close call was a reminder of the danger they faced. One day, as the shuttle passed near a large asteroid belt, a sudden warning beep sounded. "Enemy ships approaching," Jace said quickly. Thaya gripped his arm. "Can we outrun them?" Jace smiled grimly. "We'll try." He pushed the shuttle's engines harder, weaving between massive floating rocks. The enemy ships followed, firing bursts of energy. The shuttle shook and alarms screamed. Jace stayed calm, guiding them through the dangerous maze. Finally, with a burst of speed, they escaped the asteroid field. The enemy ships gave up the chase, disappearing into the darkness. Thaya sighed with relief. That was too close. Jace nodded. "You have to be ready for more." Days later, they reached the beacon ship, a giant vessel floating silently, in orbit around a distant, forgotten planet. The ship was old but powerful, covered with symbols of the Saran people. Thaya's eyes shone with hope and sorrow. "This ship was built to share our knowledge and keep peace. It must not fall into the wrong hands." Jace helped Thaya and Len board the ship. Inside, the halls were empty, but filled with soft glowing light. The ship seemed alive, as if waiting for its message to be shared again. Thea moved to the main control room and placed her hands on a strange panel. The ship responded, lights flickering and machines humming to life. "Help me send the message," she said. Jace stood guard as Thaya activated the beacon. A holographic image filled the room, a story of the Sarans' peaceful history, their knowledge of science and life, and a call for peace between all species. The message spread quickly through space, reaching planets and ships far and wide. But just as the beacon's light grew stronger, a shadow appeared outside, a massive ship blocking the signal. Jace and Thaya watched in silence as the new ship approached. It was unlike any they had seen before, sleek, powerful, and ancient. From the ship came a voice, calm and clear. "We are the Sovereign Assembly. We have received your message." Thaya stepped forward, hope rising in her heart. "Please listen to our plea. We want peace." The leader of the Sovereign Assembly replied, "We will hear you. We offer peace talks between your people, humans, and others." Jace looked at Thaya and Len. After so much struggle, a new chance had come, a chance to change the future. As the talks began, Jace felt a deep sense of relief. The journey was hard, but the truth had been shared. Outside the ancient ship, stars shone brighter. A new dawn was rising for the galaxy, one filled with hope, peace, and the courage of those who dared to stand together.